Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be speaking about 1976 D pennies that could be worth more money than a normal one. So most of them are just going to be worth 1 cent, maybe the copper value brings them to 2, but because of an error or a variety, if you look really closely on some of the coins, you could have something that's worth a good bit more, not to mention conditional rarity. But we'll get into a PowerPoint presentation that I've made. Let's head on over there and then explain just what to look for on these 1976 D pennies. So we've got the 1976 D Lincoln Memorial Cent. At this time, there would have been the bicentennial series occurring on the other denominations, which is interesting, for the 200th anniversary from 1776, obviously. So the coin itself, you can pause this. This would be a copper coin. You can't melt it down, but it would be 3.11 grams, so that should be over 1 cent in terms of the copper value. That's not something I focus on too much. Instead, you could look to certify some of these if they're in really nice condition, but I would honestly wait to get a mint state 67 before you send it in, because 66 plus is a super tough grade to get. They just don't give them out much, and mint state 66, you're probably breaking even. And this is for red at BCGS. If you get a mint state 65 back, you've basically thrown away whatever the grading fees are, because there's very few buyers. So only do that if it's in great condition, almost flawless, and you have some experience doing so. Now, in terms of the extra thickness, so this is a distended hub doubled 1976D. You can see it really, I think, best in the Liberty, where especially in like the I and the B, if you compare it with like what the normal, and that doesn't even look super thin, but what a normal one would look like, maybe side by side, the Liberty is going to be a lot thicker, as will most of the outer lettering. For the repunchment marks, there's going to be 3. This one is tilted, so it's slightly to the right, and these values are not for certified coins. It's just if you can clearly identify that they are and you're really sure about it. Maybe you get an attribution from somebody who does attributions and is a really sort of variety expert. There's also going to be this second repunchment mark where there's like a clear split between the D and the second D. Sometimes they punch them if it doesn't take properly, or maybe they tilt it a little bit or twist it in the bottom of their punch, whatever happens. Now you couldn't find repunchment marks. 1989 was done away with and was added to the die itself. So unfortunately, you can't, it's not like they're receiving their own punches at the mints. And this third one is going to be also tilted, where it's like a really minor. Some of the other repunchment marks are a little bit more prominent in terms of how they manifest, so it's a little disappointing on these, but still something you can look for. And then in terms of the errors, this one is a really cool error because it was struck 85% off center, but it still retained the date. So most of the times when this happens, you're not going to be able to see the clear 76D, and as a result, especially with like the interesting toning on it, somebody paid $230 for it, so a really pretty high price for most off centers. But when you have something 85% off center, normally you don't see the date, so that's why the collector valued it. This one was sold for $145. It was double struck, and it was also rotated, so it looks like the second striking, you can see the T right here. It was like slightly rotated as it didn't quite make it out of the striking chamber, receives another strike, and it looks like there would have been another coin. It wasn't just purely the dies, there would have been like a corresponding coin with an indent because it was struck on top of another coin. It didn't receive the other side, the reverse die didn't hit it again. There's also this one, which was struck on a copper nickel planchet, which sort of is wild. I don't exactly know. I would assume that this would be intended for a dime, but I'm not totally sure on how this ended up happening. Sold for $12.50. Looks like there was some damage around the edge for whatever reason, and it prevented it from receiving a straight grade, but this coin, sort of a neat one, wrong planchet. When there's so many of these coins being struck, something's bound to go wrong, and that did in this case, and that sort of brings us to the end of this one. So some interesting repunchings, a neat double die obverse that's pretty minor, then the conditional rarity plus errors makes me super excited to have been able to present this to you today. Good luck finding the good ones. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like the video, comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some other social media platforms. You can also go to my main channel website, treasuretownYT.com, to learn more about the channel and sort of stay in contact. I also will eventually host all of these videos on coinsmetalscards.com, which will be both news, marketplace, and coin information. I do have the goal of eventually getting pretty much every US coin, date, mint mark, denomination on the channel with a similar video to the one that you just watched, and that will likely all be hosted there. And then I also have treasuretowncoins.com, which is sort of my coin dealing wing, coin dealing only entity that is a little bit less focused on content production. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos. I also have videos that are not just the date, mint mark, denomination recap in this format, so you can check some of those out, and I'll have fun seeing you there.